All right. Welcome to the Mando cast from Dirt Nerd BS. As usual, I'm Alan, and we have Kyle over here,
Hello.
and we have Tomas.
What's up, everyone?
Excellent. We've had a lot of technical difficulties today, but we were determined, and it's a late night cast, so it may get a little risque, right, gentlemen? We'll see about that. But
Oh.
anyways, we're talking about Mandalorian as normal, and we got a chapter 16, episode 8, The Rescue, to talk about, the finale, the one. And I'm just curious before we start. We had a top-notch episode previously. So what were your expectations before we jumped in? Were you like super pumped for this last episode? Were you sad to be over? What did you guys experience?
Yeah, my expectations were that I didn't think they could live up to the last episode. Well, not that they couldn't live up to it, but I felt like it was going to be difficult because you and I, Alan, rated that last episode as a 10. And so my thought
Yeah.
was, man, they better go out with a bang. So that's, that's
Hmm.
kind of what I was expecting.
Yeah, I didn't rate it quite as high as you guys, although I did like the last episode. Don't get my ratings wrong. I still really enjoyed the last episode. But like I said, I found myself extremely excited for this episode because I knew it was the finale. I was excited to see how they were going to wrap this up with the moth and everything like that. So
The Moth.
The moth on the windowsill. We also have. We're gonna. So I don't know what I'm saying anymore. We're gonna edit that out. I was ready for this, but I don't know what to expect. I didn't know what I had to expect. I just thought it was going to be another good episode, and I guess it didn't disappoint. But we start off in the rescue. Slave One is attacking an Imperial ship. It seems to have Doctor Pershing. I think is his name, right? Doctor Pershing. He's on the ship. Our heroes seem to be looking for him for an unknown reason at this point. We do find out that they're essentially. It seemed like they're trying to use him as some sort of decoy, at least the ship itself, to get into the bigger ship with Moff Gideon. But we had a little spat back and forth as they were holding Pershing hostage, where we find out that Kara, the little teardrop rebel symbol, it was. I guess it's something that a lot of people who had family in Alderaan that were also part of the rebellion have. I didn't know we just found out that it's actually a symbol that's more unanimous with specifically Alderaan. Any thoughts on that one, guys?
Yeah, I honestly didn't catch that in the episode. Now that you say it, that makes a lot of sense. But I, I'll start with I'll say this about Cara Dune. I'm a little Cara Duned out at this point in season 2. I'm just a little tired of her attitude. I sound like an old man, but I'm tired of her attitude in the show. So I didn't even catch that she was from Alderaan, but
well, yeah, I can kind of understand what you're saying. She is definitely a very recurring character for a show that was just about the Mandalorian, but I thought it was interesting with how the captain talks about, the because she tries to be smart and say like, which Death Star were you on? And he's like, you guys killed thousands, millions of people and the galaxy just cheered. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, I guess if you put it like that, like,
it was a good point. Yeah, that they mentioned the opposite side of things, that it wasn't just a black and white incident that happened. It was a bunch of people that died on a giant death ball.
yeah.
Yeah, you guys take the words right out of my mouth. I didn't mention it to begin with, but I'm glad you guys did. It is something that's not brought up quite a bit, that this is a war, even though it's our Star War that we love so much, and we're always on the hero side. This is a war, and in every war, there's there's casualties and sadness on both sides. It's not just a one-sided war. So yeah, it's glad it was touched upon, and you guys both said wonders for it. Uh,
There was the whole scene with the guy holding the doctor from the first season hostage.
yeah,
What even happened? Did they end up they shot him in the face, right?
Yeah, Cara Dune shot him right over the guy's shoulder.
And didn't even Mando look over at her in
Yeah,
the
kinda
scene?
like, "Whoa."
Like, oh, okay.
yeah, I think it was more along the lines of that was a stupid move because what if you missed just a hair? Like you would have basically killed the main reason we're here.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm getting at with her character, and maybe that's the point of her character, is
Mhm.
that she's just still kind of a what's it called? Guns a blazing type of
Yeah.
person, and I'm personally just tired of it. So, I mean, she was great in the first season, fit well, but now I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you kinda. I don't really have any disdain, but I really don't think she's really shown like she doesn't seem essential, and so I'm with you on that. And but apparently she's going to be getting her own show anyways. But we'll move on for now. I did find it weird that they didn't show how the Slave One would dock. I don't know. I'm used to sci-fi shows showing like the docking of the ships, but they specifically avoided this, particularly because it always interests me for the simple fact that, especially in Star Wars, and I never maybe they never thought ahead, but in Star Wars, a lot of the ships just have like a hatch, right?
Mhm.
So they don't really have this docking thing, and I think in Star Trek they did it a lot, and other sci-fi shows where you actually dock ships together to transport people or things.
Star Trek had beaming
Well,
technology, so
yeah, but couldn't they go through like couldn't they dock as well, like dock and like move
yeah,
through
but
ships
why?
without beaming? Or
Yeah, why would you though?
well, yeah, okay, well, that universe, yes,
I
but other
know.
sci-fi, it shows
I'm
it.
teasing you.
Firefly, yeah, I know. Firefly come to mind. They show it a lot. Short-lived series, but anyways, I just thought it was weird that it didn't show it because, like I said, both those ships are older shows from the old trilogy that they already showed how they open up, and it's just a hatch. So it's kind of where they kind of left that out.
I think it probably did for two reasons: budgeting and time constraints, animating that whole thing, and just to be like, "Oh, cool! There's a door on the bottom right side of Slave One," and also trying to come up where where the door would be on that, because you're right, that
Yeah,
only has that weird horizontal hatch. So where, like, it just sounds like too much work to bother with, and
yeah.
it doesn't. It was like what you guys said about me wanting to see how Boba Fett clean up his armor. Nobody cares. It's like it'd be cool to see, but it doesn't need to happen.
Yeah, so at some point, story's got a story, so,
Yeah,
Definitely. This that is one thing about this episode, and we'll try to keep moving forward here. But this episode felt really fast. Like there's a lot happening on every
yeah,
for
oh
every
yeah.
scene. It's just so dense with stuff going on. There's just not a lot of time to even stop and smell the roses. But anyway, maybe that's part of the reason. But so we get the next scene where they hijack the Imperial ship and they head to the Star Destroyer. I thought that hatch was really cool that they were going in or hangar bay, whatever you want to call it. Uh, that whole scene was
well
interesting.
well
It definitely felt rushed.
well,
Like
what about the whole cantina scene where he meets up with Bo-Katan, they have a little scrap?
oh my
Yeah,
goodness, I completely forgot about that, and for good reason because
yeah.
Yeah.
it was it's kind of weird. But I did kind of skip over it.
It
I
was a little bit weird.
apologize. I have notes here as well because in that specific bar scene that I just kind of brushed over, um, there was one key thing that was brought up that caught my mind, and that was in particular that number one, Boba Fett is obviously a well-known bounty hunter. Number two, people associate him with the Mandalorian because of his armor. But number three, the Mandalorians themselves do not recognize him as a Mandalorian because he's a clone.
Mhm.
Did anybody
Right.
catch that or even think about that? That was interesting to
Oh,
me.
yeah.
I caught that. I thought it was really I I loved the way that Bo-Katan, uh, before she outright calls him a clone, uh, says, "Man, I must have heard that voice 1,000 times in the war."
Yeah.
You know, like
Mhm.
you immediately go, "Oh, she knows. She knows about you." You know, and she tells Mando, "Not all of us are bounty hunters." It makes me wonder, like, is there a stigma against bounty hunters to these Mandalorians? Like, do they view the Mandalorians that bounty hunt as not true Mandalorians? I guess I don't know.
Yeah, that's a. I don't know if they think that, but I thought that whole scene was a little cringy, and I don't even like using that word, but it was just didn't seem like it needed to happen. And what I remember is that Boba Fett isn't well known amongst Mandalorian's crew, but Bo-Katan and her crew know Boba Fett pretty well. It seems
Well,
like.
yeah, but my thing was just that, you know, because of the way that she said to Mando, not all Mandalorians are bounty hunters. Is a Mandalorian who is a bounty hunter, do they have a stigma amongst other Mandalorians?
Well,
Like,
Mando himself does now after 2 seasons of plaguing the galaxy with his shenanigans. He's well known, and so is Boba Fett, clearly.
yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah.
and now that they've teamed up, I'm sure word's gotten out. It also seems like there's bad blood there. Again, Bo-Katan has a lot of enemies, it seems like. She's not very well. Maybe she doesn't have a good personality, I don't know.
And as it will bring up towards the end, I don't know where Bo-Katan's morals are.
Mm,
You know, I'm trying to figure her out because I I want to root for her, but at the same time, I know that she started off helping Vizsla. The only reason that she didn't end up pursuing helping Night Watch is because Maul ended up taking over and she didn't approve of Maul. But she still approved of Night Watch. Like, so yeah.
I thought she was against the Death Watch.
No, the Night Owls were part of Death Watch.
Okay. Either way, I agree with what you're saying, Kyle. We actually had a discussion about this on the side, and I didn't really think about it too much. Katie, I really like her as an actress, and I really liked her in Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica. But when you brought up that you didn't think she was that great of an actress, at least in this show. Like she does not really portraying this character very uh, engaging. Like you don't really care about this character because of maybe the way she's portraying it.
mm.
Maybe the character itself is just not very good. When I was watching this episode, I think I started seeing that it doesn't really feel like Katie's really putting it all in on this character. I don't know. Maybe that's the character itself, but maybe you could explain that a little better.
Yeah, I remember because I don't know who she was from the other shows and the stories like you guys did, and from what you know, have seen, I think it probably is part of the character because there's this whole side that we learn later that we didn't know that she was after this, the certain thing, and so maybe where she's playing this aloof, a little bit distant character, but it's kind of annoying. It's like like both of you been saying, who is she? What's happening? But it also leaves the door open to make new episodes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it just, I think the actress is fine. It's just, I think it's more so the character.
Yeah, and you might be right. Maybe it is the character. Maybe it's just the way she's portraying this character, or maybe there's just not enough time, and so we just really can't
Mm,
we can't really get to know this character very well. Besides what we've known in the past, and they really don't have time to show that off.
good point.
Was just gonna say, I think there is a bit of that expectancy with Mandalorian that they kind of have an idea that, oh, okay, you've watched at least some of the Clone Wars or something like that, so you know a bit about Bo-Katan. But I do understand what you're saying, Kyle. without any kind of, picking into her backstory. It does make her kind of just a very vague character to the non heavy diehard fans, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe diehard fan is the wrong word, but the people that didn't watch those those
Yeah, well, we
episodes.
definitely
Yeah.
have to come back to that in a sense because I have more words to bring towards the end of the episode. We can discuss a little bit further, but for now, we move on to the Star Destroyer. We get a really cool sequence where the Tie Fighters are leaving to go, defeat Slave One. I'm assuming everybody's watched, so I'm not going to go through everything. As the Imperial transport is flying in at the same time, it's an interesting scene. Um, they're definitely trying to fool them in a way, but at the same time, I don't think Gideon's fooled. He just doesn't really have a lot of options. Like it does feel like he doesn't want to let them in, but I mean, what is he going to do?
I think you put it really well, Alan. Yeah, he's kind of watching this all happen, and you just kind of see it in his face. He just wants to roll his eyes, like, oh my word.
You guys think he knew the whole time that they
I
were?
think I don't think
No,
he knew exactly who it was, but he
Uh,
knew that Mando was looking for him. And then he sees this ship do this kind of odd thing and completely ignore orders. And so I think he had an idea like this is probably what I'm
okay.
waiting for.
Right. Yeah. 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 That sounds about right.
yeah, that's all I was gonna. Yeah, you just like Tomas said, he saw the disdain in Gideon as this is all going down. Uh,
He knew it was it was bad news either way.
I don't think he had
yeah,
any idea that it was Bo-Katan and everything as well, but
no,
he knew that. Oh, yeah.
probably hoped it wasn't them, but he probably assumed if anything like this is happening, it's potentially them. So
That's
he knew
true.
something was going down.
Yeah. Who else is it going to be?
Exactly.
Yeah. Fair.
And if
Fair
it
point.
wasn't them, it would be still somebody annoying or something, some sort of other
It'd
problem
still be
potentially.
annoying. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, so we move on and we see them split up. Everybody goes one direction to basically force their way to the bridge. It seems like. And we have Mandalorian going solo. And I'm not gonna unless you know any highlights of this whole movement through the ship. I didn't think anything. I didn't see anything crazy besides the combat and all the fighting and everything. I did feel it was weird. There was like a random hangar. Or the bridge, and there was just like an area where they could just fall off for some reason. I was like, why does this exist? But there were handrails, so that's a bonus.
Yeah,
Uh,
there were handrails this time. I also felt though that I didn't see the need for. I don't understand why there's a point where Kara's gun breaks down.
yeah, it like jams or something. It was really weird.
I was just kind of like it doesn't make me feel any more stress for the character because
No,
I don't know, maybe it's kind of like Kyle. I'm not too invested in Kara, so it's like,
it's not
Yeah.
even it's not even being invested in Kara. We are. I know this is probably fourth Wally, but we already know we're getting a show starring Kara, so obviously she's not going to die. I mean, we kind of get the idea. Maybe I'm the only one who thought that, but I just I had no worry for any of these characters because besides maybe Bo-Katan's partner, who's not really like that important of a character. I feel like these people are moving on to other shows, so obviously none of them are going to get killed off. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
We've come full circle with the Star Wars thing where it's like none of these people are going to die. We get it. Because
Hmm.
there's going to be another Mandalorian season, and like you said, there's going to be other shows. So it's that's kind of annoying to be honest. Of just there's no tension with the whole scene. I think the gun jamming was just. I don't know, but it made me kind of be annoyed with her again. Just the way she responded to it. It was like
just one more thing to get upset over.
like, whatever,
Yeah,
okay, we got I mean, the only thing I did notice is that it was all females. It was all the girls, and so it's like this girl power thing.
yeah,
I
I
was
didn't
like,
even
"That's
notice
fine."
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's
No, good. I mean, good on them for that.
yeah. Well, because there's a there was talk of like this rebel or whatever this show is called. I can't think of the top of my head, but there's a show that Kara is going to be starring in, and there was like talk of this sequence or show where it was going to involve Kara, Bo-Katan, and Ahsoka, and so it was leading into this all female cast. I'm not against that or anything, but so I get what you're saying with this
Hmm.
entry. I guess it does show that more.
Oh,
I didn't even really think about that.
yeah, that could be what they were leaning towards, of just a
Yeah.
foreshadowing of the new show.
I did think it was kind of odd because I kind of wanted Boba to be a part of the strike force, so I was like, "Man, I wish Boba had been part of that."
That was
But
really
and
weird.
now that you're saying that though, Kyle, about it being, all the girls, I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I see that." And that, yeah, good on them. So yeah.
It did feel kind of weird because wasn't Boba Fett supposed to like help them get the child, or is that as far as he had to go? It's like I got you there. That's all I need to do. I don't need to help you get the child. I'm just got you to the child. Is that? I just thought about that. I don't know. He
Well, I
just kind of
mean,
takes off.
I don't really want to spoil the ending, but we kind of know he at least comes back for one of them. So
Yeah, we'll get to that later. But yes, exactly. It's
I
true.
mean, he
There's a reason why
he
he's leaving.
he did have to play it. Yeah, he had to play off his departure well enough,
Mhm.
and his
Mhm.
indentured servant. I don't know what her role is, but
Yeah,
she,
Fennec.
she was part of the crew, so it wasn't. Yeah, she wasn't. He wasn't going to leave forever, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But
I wish
anyways,
I had
Yeah.
seen him too.
But we move on. We'll move on for the combats and everything like that, and we have so he we move on to we see the Dark Troopers. What I love about this, and this made me think about this a little bit more. The music in this show is phenomenal. They do Star Warsy music, but they seem to have even the Mandalorian theme. It could be a song from something else. It's not even Star Wars, but it has its own feel. And the Dark Trooper theme is just another one of those themes that when it popped up, I was like, "This is really nice. I'm actually really enjoying this," and it doesn't sound like Star Wars at all. But at the same time, it fits this scene perfectly when they're showing the Dark Troopers that apparently need some sort of coolant because of how hot they are when they're charging. I didn't understand that exactly because they were charging. They're not organic, but they need to be in some sort of cooling thing. I'm guessing there's some sort of heat problem.
well, yeah, Perkins says that they require a lot of energy, and that's why
Yeah.
on they can't be on while the ship's on because they
Mhm.
drain so much energy from the ship, I think.
Oh,
So I think
I thought he meant it was perishing, and I actually thought that was, uh, he said they had to be charged because they don't last a long time. So, basically, you can't have them all
oh,
the
I
time.
thought it
So they
was
have to be charged. So, basically, they're just ready to go. At least that's what I
okay,
got.
see, I thought it was the opposite. Yeah,
They
well, either way, they weren't ready to go when Mando was on the jet. Uh, but go ahead, Kyle, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say they run off of carburetors, so they take a while to warm up.
He did say they take about a minute or so to actually get going. So, they say you
Yeah.
have, like, a little bit of time when they initiate.
But that's what I wanted to comment on, is that whole time that they were charging, each time that it cut back to the Dark Troopers charging, I don't know why, but I was an inch closer to the edge of my seat, and then it
Hmm.
cut back
It's
to it,
that
and I'm an
music,
inch
man.
closer to the edge of my
That
seat. Yeah,
music.
I was
The Dark Trooper music is just so epic. It's just like you just know these guys are gonna mess
Yeah.
yeah.
something up.
Yeah,
But
Mhm.
anyways, uh,
it was good.
so we go around with Mandalorian as he's looking for Grogu. He stumbles upon uh, the Dark Troopers, and they start breaking out. You've seen the scene. We get one of the Dark Troopers that escapes. We get him fighting the Dark Trooper. The Dark Troopers look amazing, and I know this is like new technology, but it just made me think back to like Episode One and all the prequels and how the robots are. Granted, they had some cooler ones later on, but these ones just shot all those other ones out of the water, in my opinion, with their darkness. They look scary. They're kind of like a Terminator almost, where he's like shooting at him and it's
Mhm.
doing nothing.
Mhm.
I just It was just so cool. I thought that fight scene was pretty amazing.
I got heavy kind of like Terminator vibes when he's shooting at him. Because if you watch him, he tries to hit him in the first shot, he tries to hit him in the left shoulder. That doesn't work. Hits him in the right shoulder, doesn't work. Tries to hit him directly in the stomach, and by that time, the Dark Trooper has the Mandalorian's blaster in his hand. So he gets 3 shots off, and he goes for 3 different vital points, and it just shows you how tough these dark troopers are, man. Then when he has to just resort to his Beskar spear because that's the only way he's gonna beat this thing. Like,
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It was kind of convenient that he had it, but it was cool.
I mean, it was convenient because it's all he had left from his
yeah,
ship being
True,
blown up.
true,
And
true.
so
Yeah,
he's carrying a light load these days.
oh, he even did his missile salvo, and that didn't even stop the thing.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like,
you're
yeah.
right.
It was pretty cool, and I'll give it some respect. The show's done really well. This is a setup for a couple episodes now, so I thought it was kind of cool that he had it. I was completely fine with that, no issue. Uh, but we get past that fight scene that was really cool as he defeats the uh, the Dark Trooper with the spear, and then he finds Gid.
I do have an issue with this, and it goes back to Mando's armor, and it's
Hmm.
basically like when you're playing any kind of card game, like Magic, for instance, it's the
Yeah.
power creep, and this is in the TV show. It's like, okay, well, Mando's been invincible, and we've talked about that, and so now he
Uh-huh.
meets a machine, a droid, Dark Trooper that is
mm.
more
Mhm.
powerful, and it's like, okay, you're gonna have to top that now, or you have to strip him down in the next season, and
yeah,
I guess you're right. Yeah, he is kind of vulnerable right now.
yeah,
yeah.
and
What
it was a cool fight. I loved it. It was fun, but that going forward is my concern of like, okay, is
Yeah.
he gonna have to get stronger? Is he gonna, need to get a lightsaber now, or what is it? So
Well, I did like that he still did struggle with the Dark Trooper. I like that
yeah,
because it did show that after the way he's just blown through the imps, it's just like, oh my word, man! But finally, something gave him a run for his money.
Yeah, I
hmm
think Kyle's more saying that along the lines of, "What now?" 'Cause we got these, but is he just gonna fight Dark Troopers forever, or I'm sure he's gonna find a way to
For-
kill 'em.
for-
Uh,
from here on out, it's just Dark Trooper.
I can see his concern. I definitely can see his concern 'cause it's never fun to watch an overpowered it's never fun for long to watch as an overpowered person. You
right,
you lose interest. You want some
right,
struggle. Uh, but he ejects them into space, which I thought was really cool. It was a cool, we've done this before, the
yeah.
whole space hatch thing.
I will say this though: when he ejected them into space, I kind of was like, "Yeah, but didn't they fly with Baby Yoda? Like they're just gonna
Yeah,
come
that definitely
back."
comes up later. I think this the episode that kind of helps that plays with this episode's strengths. As this episode it moves so fast, I actually didn't think
Yeah,
about that because if the progression of the episode is so quick, you don't have a lot of time to think about stuff
it's
like
true.
that until later, after
Yeah,
the fact.
I did not think about that. I didn't catch that.
You're completely logical, that makes complete sense, but in the moment, I didn't notice it at all. But anyways, so we
Mm,
find Gid, he's holding Grogu hostage with the Darksaber, then we get this weird interaction with them where Gideon decides to let him take the child as long as he takes the child and leave, and Gid's gonna go deal with the rest of the people, and Mando's like, "Whatever, as long as I got the child, I'm gonna get out of here." But then Gid turns around and backstabs him. I thought that was really weird. I don't know why he did that.
well, actually, I was just gonna say it that you bring up an interesting point, Alan, because when I watched it, like first off, one of the things I really noticed was how well Moff Gideon understands his enemy. And to me, that makes him a scary adversary because he tells Mando, right now they're looking around for me in the bridge. They've probably killed every single person in the bridge,
Yeah,
which they had, and he was like, and they're probably freaking out right now trying to find me. But here's the thing, I have what I need. This kid will bring order back to the universe, so I will let you take him as long as you let me go. His face during that whole time, when he says, especially when he says, I see the bond he shares with you, or something like that. You almost see his eyes kind of tearing up a bit, Gideon's eyes kind of
Yeah.
tearing up a bit. And I was just like, man, this actor, because he made me believe him. Like, he made me
Yeah.
believe him. And so when he turns around and attacks him, I think your expression, Alan, of why is so great, because you believed that he was sincere. Like,
Yeah, I'm not saying the acting wasn't good, the acting was fine, I just think it didn't really I can't see any positives for him doing
I,
that, like, overall.
well, I was talking to Kyle about this a little bit earlier. I think I see exactly why he did it. He did it because he did not want Bo Katan to get a hold of the dark saber. He has some deep grudge with Bo Katan, and he wanted Mando to take it. And that's why he's so surprised when Mando lets him live. That's why he goes, "Oh, this should be interesting."
But what if Mando didn't let him live, though? I mean, is that part of his plan too?
He was fine with that, I think, because he just didn't want Bo-Katan to get that saber.
Oh yeah, that was the whole point of this was that one way or another, Bo-Katan was not going to get it, and then by
Yeah.
putting it in Mando's hand, as we'll learn later, would
Mhm.
would make it even harder for her because she's talking throughout the whole season about I got to get Moff Gideon, he's mine, blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah, and then you start learning, putting these pieces together. You mean, Alan? Are you asking if what if he killed Mando? Is that what you're asking?
No, what if Mando killed Moff?
Yeah, what if that was all part of his plan, then, I mean, he's taking a huge gamble.
I think it's a better
Yeah,
gamble than taking it with Bo-Katan, though. He couldn't take that gamble with Bo-Katan. At least with Mando, he could take the gamble and maybe walk out.
yeah.
But again, there was no gamble needed to be taken. Is what I'm saying is it would have been just as easy for him to do the trade and leave. His plan, that's why it was so confusing, is because his plan made sense. He didn't need the kid anymore. He didn't need Mando. He has a dark saber. Mando doesn't care about the dark
Oh,
saber.
no.
He could have
No,
just
I think he
left.
still needed the kid. I think he was bluffing. I think he was
Okay.
bluffing. I think he
But
still
then
needed
later
the
on,
kid.
okay, we'll get to that later on thing, but I'll
Oh,
come back
you're
to that
right about the
later.
later on. You are right about the later
So,
on.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
how is he just gonna leave? You mean like without the
Yeah,
ship? You just
anything.
take off?
Yeah, just leave the ship.
Well, I also
Theoretically.
thought it brought an interesting I
Or
also
use
thought
the
it brought
Dark
an
Troopers as they
interesting
come back to battle the Mandalorians that aren't Mando and the Child. I mean, without the Child there, or Mandalorian there, their odds of defeating the 2 Mandalorians left and Kara are pretty high.
You think Mandalorian would have just let him leave?
I don't know, he would have
In
got the
this
kids safe, and
situation?
that was his
Yeah, in
main
this
goal.
situation, I think he would've. Yes, I'm kinda feeling like he would've gotten the
Um,
kids safe.
Because that was my other question, was would Mando have ditched Kara and all of them to save the kid, because he really wanted to save the kid. So, and we saw how he abandoned the idea of his helmet.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways, alright, let's move forward. Looks like we have a lot of questions for this, but we can talk about it later.
Yeah.
That's a good question though. It's a plot hole for sure.
But Alan, in response to what you were saying, I think the reason he did it was twofold. For one, he ensures this way that Bo Katan doesn't get her hands on the dark saber. Number two, I think he did it this way because he knew there was no way with Bo Katan that he was going to walk out alive. Mando is a bounty hunter. He's probably used to taking people in alive. So maybe he would spare
Mm.
him, and it turns out he did.
A
So,
And what's her
again,
face wanted him alive,
yeah.
but I don't know if he knew that.
Yeah, but you make a good point, Alan, as well.
again, it seems like a big gamble, and I just seems like a weird for the man being so smart, he made a very big
Yeah.
risk. He took a very big risk for what seemed like no reason. But anyways, I digress. We will move on. So now the Mando has the dark saber, and he brings Gid and Grogu into the hangar, not hangar, bridge, where he meets the rest of the party, and that's when they figure out that the Dark Troopers are coming back. As Tomas said earlier, they don't need to breathe in space, and they can fly. So they're easily find their way back into the ship. They start heading towards the bridge. They close the door. They try to lock it.
I have another plot hole. Why do they just go to hyperspeed before they all
Yeah,
landed back on the
I,
ship?
That's a good
Like,
question too.
hey,
They
pop,
should.
like just pop that. Let's get out of here.
I mean, you're not wrong. I feel like one thing is like, if I was going to give any credit to it, one thing would be that number one, it seems like the majority of the people on there don't seem to think about that the robots are coming. Um, Mandalorian himself thought he got rid of them. Uh, Granted, they found out that they didn't.
True.
Um, Gideon's not going to tell him because Gideon knows that they're going to come back. So that's his get out of jail free card. So
Oh well, and that's
I understand.
you know what that okay then. So at that point, that's why he did this whole gamble. Why would he leave if he knew the Dark Troopers were coming back?
It's true. He had already known that Mando had used his last missile salvo, so he had to have
Yeah.
been watching on the screens or something.
Well, my gamble wasn't the fact uh, that he turned on him. It was more that well, yes, it was. It was more the fact that if Mando would have killed him, none of that, all that would have been mute, except for the fact that the Dark Troopers would have came back, do what I'm
You
not
mean
sure
you
without
mean
anybody to control
you mean
them.
moot?
Moot.
Yeah,
Trying to say
moot.
moot?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah, I have that problem too, Alan. I always say mute as well.
I thought I said moot, but it's all right. I will move forward. I
You
understand
got to
what
be
you're saying, Kyle.
More Canadian in your
More
voice.
Canadian. Well, I'm sorry. Uh,
But yeah, and so okay, I think it's a big plot hole. But the only reason again is why would you forfeit the ship when you know you have complete control when the Dark Troopers come back?
Yeah.
Why would you?
true.
That's a pretty big ship. Like, why would you forfeit it?
Mhm.
So
But if he knew the
yeah.
Dark Trooper's
Anyways,
coming back, he doesn't need he doesn't need
Show's gotta
Grogu.
show.
Mandalorian could have left with
yeah.
Grogu. Yeah, at the end of the day, show's gonna show. I have a lot of issues with this episode, but we're gonna move
You don't,
forward.
okay. You
So
don't want. You want. He wanted Mandalorian dead. Why would you just let him leave too? Like, if you know you could kill him, kill him.
Yeah, yeah. It's
yeah,
true.
but why don't he could just waited he could have waited and turned on him after his back's gone, after the Dark Troopers are already back. Basically leading an army to the hangar or, like, bridge.
Maybe he didn't know that the lightsaber couldn't go through Beskar. Maybe he didn't
Oh
know.
yeah, that's a good point. That's a
So
really good point.
maybe he thought he was just gonna slice him in half right then and
I
there.
True.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
after all of the things that have happened in this season, all the times you've been watching
I'm
them and
just
things like
saying.
that, I feel like that's a really weird detail to not know about.
I think a lot of people were surprised that Beskar couldn't be cut.
Bo knew Bhaskar, like, lightsaber couldn't cut Bhaskar.
Yeah,
Who
it's
knew that?
true.
Who?
It's true.
Bo
Bo-Katan
Bo
says
said
it.
it.
Yeah.
Because she's a Mandalorian. That's their. That's
Well,
their thing.
obviously Moff Gideon knows a lot about the Mandalorians. I mean, he's
Yeah,
obviously well taught
he has the
or well
dark
studied.
saber.
So then he made a mistake, and he's not as good a strategist as we thought.
That's fine. Perfect. He's not perfect. Moving on. All right. So we have the Dark Troopers headed to the bridge. We have a little converse before that. Basically, Mando comes in. He doesn't want the dark saber. Gid says that, well, she has to defeat you or you have to surrender it to her. And he says, I yield. She says, you can't do that. I felt this was really weird, but I want to hear your
Oh,
take first. So I know Tomas has a lot to say, so I'll start with him.
yeah, I actually thought it was great, especially because we had just seen Mando get over the problem from taking off his helmet. And so he just wants Bo-Katan to just be like, you know what, just screw Creed. Screw whatever the rules say. Just do it. I think Mando has this whole new kind of like almost kind of fat look on life.
I think you're putting a little too much into this for the simple fact that the scene is very short, and also there's, like, 2 lines where he tries to give it to her. I don't think he cares. I think every time he tries, he gives him a re gives he gives him the reason why he can't, and he says, "Whatever, I yield." And then we move on to the next thing. So I don't think he has a lot of time to, like, to think in on himself about the whole Mandalorian. I think a little too deep, but
No, no, I think it's just funny when compared to it. I'm not saying that he's
oh, okay,
thinking
I see
about
what you're
that.
saying. Okay.
I'm saying when you
Yeah.
compare it to, you know,
Okay.
I think that yeah, when he's trying to give her the saber, yeah, he's probably not thinking of like I took off my helmet, but you know, but I think it's just funny to see a new kind of stubbornness. We finally got Mando to take off his helmet, and now we see Bo Katan with this new type of stubbornness, like I can't take it. And we're just, to me at least, I was just sitting there like, oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yeah,
Like,
I thought it was annoying. I thought the whole thing was show's gotta show. I think it did further what you were saying, Tomas, about Mandalorian's new outlook on life, so to speak, that he said, I have new values and I have new things that are important to me. The kid's more important than this.
mhm.
But the whole thing of just like, no, it can't happen that way is like, gosh dang it. That was show's gotta show to me that we're just gonna write this in. It's not gonna
But it goes again
uh,
to show you why Moff Gideon went the way he did, because he did not want Bo Katan to have that.
he knew.
He wanted her to have to kill someone else to get to take it. You
So, oh, and
Yeah.
while all this stuff makes sense if we actually dig into the Clone Wars, I know, not Clone Wars, Rebels, uh, Sabine just gives it to Bo-Katan.
Yeah,
That's what
you're
kind of
right,
throws the
actually.
whole thing
I
off
did
for
just
me,
think of that. You're
is
right.
if you
She
actually
gives it to her.
yeah, and so it
That
doesn't
makes it
make any
worse
sense.
then.
Yeah, makes it worse.
Yeah, that this just
That's why it bugs
destroys.
me so bad is because I loved Rebels, and I know Sabine just gave it to Bo because she didn't wanna rule the Mandalorians, but she knew Bo could,
And then so
and
why
yeah,
yeah, why I mean,
so
whatever.
why the charade? Why does
Yeah,
Yeah, I think part of it was that they're trying to set up a dilemma with Bo-Katan. Like,
it's a new
yeah,
set of tension.
yeah,
So,
it's the
and I
only
didn't like
reason
it.
why it's there, and I yep, and for all the time they're trying to shovel, the Clone Wars and Rebels into this for us older audience members who are dug into that crap, to leave out this one detail, this very big important detail, to just kind of forget about it just seems really weird. But anyways,
mhm,
so we finally find our Jedi who's coming to save him, and we get our first hint at this as we see the X-wing, as in we see an X-wing fly in and park in the hangar, and then we actually get a really cool scene with this hooded Jedi as he kind of busts up the place to get to the bridge. So what did you guys think about this? I mean, obviously, all of us probably knew exactly who it was very quickly, and were just, assured as the end of it. But I mean, this whole process getting there, what did you guys think? I want Kyle to go first, actually, because this is actually I'm gonna give props to Kyle. He's the one who called this. Me and Tomas, in an episode ago, we argued for many different Jedi. Kyle said, "Luke Skywalker, that's it. That's all he said. He didn't give any reason or anything besides, that why not?" That's what I got from him. And
Why
guess
not?
what? It was Luke. Kyle,
Yeah.
were you ready to just go on Discord and blow us up that you guys are so too deep into this nonsense?
go ahead, Kyle. Blow our minds.
I okay, no, I I think I did text Alan because it was so late. I didn't want to blow up Discord, but I did say I was right. I called it. And I said I think I said it was just going to be a cameo from Luke. Thinking that he would stop by. I didn't think he would be the Jedi of the show at the end of the show, but I when I saw this scene, it had been spoiled for me, and so it was a little bit uneventful when I saw the X-wing,
It was spoiled
when I saw
quick, yeah.
Yeah, I was a little annoyed. I should have watched it the day of, or I should have watched it sooner. But something on my YouTube feed
Mm,
totally spoiled it. So I was like, "Oh, okay, I know who it's gonna be." So I knew who it was. It took a lot away. It took a lot away from the
mhm.
whole scene
Yeah,
for me. It was a fine. It was fun. It was cool to see all of that, but I called it. I'll,
yeah, it was a
I'll just
little
drop
rough
the mic
because
there.
yeah, I watched the episode luckily before I went on Twitter, but when I went on Twitter, I only went on Twitter maybe about an hour after, if that, maybe right after, and I already had Mark Hamill. I follow Mark Hamill on Twitter. He was already saying it was so hard to keep this big deal for so long. I knew about this secret for over a year and blah blah blah. Like, I mean, I love Mark Hamill, but it was just like he went on Twitter like not even a couple hours after the episode aired.
Well, hold on, hold on. If you had been sitting on a secret for a year, he at least waited for it to come up all over the world before he went, ah!
People work. I mean, not everybody can just see it right away. It just seemed a little. It seemed a little extreme for me as well. It seemed extreme that they would blow this so quickly.
Yeah, yeah. I see what you guys are saying. I can also see it from Hamill's point of view, like kid in a candy store, like, oh, I gotta tell him, I gotta tell him. Oh, I can't. 365 days? That's a long time. That's a long time.
Yeah, that is a long time to keep a secret. So I'll give him props for that.
But anyways, all right, Tomas, you seem to want to blow everything up. So go ahead. What do you got?
Oh, well, for me, when the X-wing like flew in, and Kara was like, "Oh, great, we're saved," you know who I instantly thought of? I instantly thought of the Asian guy that had been interacting with her and gave her the badge and everything, the Asian
Oh,
rebel.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, I don't think he has a name, but yeah, the officer. Yeah.
That's the first person. That's the first person that came to my mind, and I was like, "Wait, what? Why is he
That's
here?
the
What? How
Their
is he
faces,
here to
you can tell they think the same thing, like, "Who the hell is this reb this" well, not rebel, but this person from the, Republic who's, like, just a lone officer, like, coming in, swinging in, like, "What
save?"
is what is he gonna do?"
Yeah, and then when it shows him like get off the ship and the lightsaber come out, I was like, "Oh, okay, it's green. I'm pretty sure I know who this is. It's in an X-wing. I'm pretty sure, but maybe, just maybe." And then I saw the glove hand, and I was like, "Oh, Kyle got it. Dang it!"
Yeah, my son screamed at the TV as soon as he saw the X-wing Luke, like, he knew, like, that was it. He was like, "Luke!" And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? It is Luke. I know it's gonna be Luke," but well, I kept quiet, but it was still pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the scene itself is really cool. It gave me vibes from when Darth Vader was on in Rogue One. Granted, I think that scene was much more epic, but that scene was also made for a
Yeah,
motion picture,
I
so
agree.
it also just looked really cool. This one was a little bit more stretched out, but at the same time, I think it gave a similar vibe. Like you just get the old a character from the old cast coming in,
Mhm.
someone who didn't really show a lot in the old trilogy. He showed a lot for the time the movies were made, but like comparative to a lot of heroes and stuff you see nowadays, they get a lot more
Compared to what we have
CG,
now.
yeah, and stuff like that. Now he's never really had that just blow up moment where he's just besides just acting, but now he's like actually using the force to crush robots and cut things in half, and it was really cool looking. I think it really showed off the potential.
You're telling me that the when he fought Boba Fett in Return of the Jedi wasn't his moment? Because that scene was
I
awesome.
those are great.
I
Yes,
actually liked that
those
scene
scenes are
better than this
amazing.
one.
I agree. I agree, actually. I agree mainly because those scenes in those movies are done really well, and they're just in a different way. Those old Star Wars movies, they're not really focusing on that stuff as much because they don't have those big budget stuff and things like that. Well, they did for the time, but that was the time. They focused more on the acting and everything else, and I think that played for them with their strong cast. But this is the first time we get to see Luke like just crushing it with like using the Force heavily. The stuff we've read about in novels, the stuff we've seen in comics, and been hinted at in other mediums. But here we actually get to see it first time on the screen, is what I was getting at.
I agree that it's really fun to watch Luke in action. I actually did enjoy it. I like, especially the second time. I liked the fight scene even better the second time,
Yeah.
and it made me think of the last podcast that we talked about where Kyle, you had said, it kind of frustrates you when you think about the movies that we got, and then you look at
Yeah.
this
Mm,
and you're like, why?
mhm.
I will say this
You
scene
know,
right here is
like
probably a better lightsaber scene than anything in the sequel trilogy.
yeah,
As far as what? Like, are we
Like
gonna
lightsaber scene, like
I would
as far
somebody
as
agree.
choosing a
Any
lightsaber to fighting.
any
you mean
lightsaber
like the
fight in the sequel,
choreography?
Like everything about it.
just period.
Yeah.
I
Sequel
mean,
trilogy, not prequel.
no, I know
I
what you're
wouldn't even
saying.
argue. I don't think it's better. I don't think it's better. Like the fight between Darth Vader, both of them, between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Uh, while there's not as much special effects compared to nowadays, I feel like those scenes are better. But just because how well acted they are, uh, I would argue that this is more like what we want to see now with the Star Wars lightsaber battles.
Well,
If that makes
I
sense.
don't know. It was not as much build up for this scene, at least not for me, as with the Darth Vader Luke Skywalker scene.
Of
Like
course.
Yeah.
that's two full movies. I think that's what you're saying. Like the acting and the story was so much better, and and still I think Mandalorian is the next best thing in the Star Wars
Agreed.
cinematic universe. Is that if that's what we're calling it now? And
I guess is what we'd be
but
calling it.
I I mean I'll just say this: it didn't have the big movie budget, like you were saying, and so I think the choreography and the nostalgia and the low key, like more low key, I guess, Jedi move is better than the sequel movies. But there's some
Mhm.
pretty cool scenes in the sequel movies with lightsabers that have a better budget. So I
Well, we'll have to we'll talk about the sequels later. But let's move forward with this. Let's have something else you'd like to say on that.
I was actually gonna say one other thing though. Uh, as much as I'd liked seeing that, and as much as it reminded me of what Kyle had talked about earlier, there was one thing though about it that I kind of was like, I actually kind of wanted to see Bo Katan and that unit fight their
yeah,
way through the Dark Troopers. I didn't want to see Luke save the day,
or at
kind
least
of.
work together, like a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought they were gonna have to do something, but they all just sat there and watched it. It was kind of
You
like,
know,
huh, okay.
I didn't even think about that, but that's a valid point. I think it may have been more epic if we got to see them actually working, and maybe even more redeeming, as I've said and Kyle has said now, the lacklusterness of Bo Katan and
Mhm.
Kara. Maybe if we got to see some good team building as they're actually working together to defeat this monstrosity, even escaping. Like imagine if they couldn't defeat them. Imagine if they literally could, they had to
Yeah.
find a way off of it instead. It would end the season as a down note, but I think it would have been kind of interesting. So that's valid.
Or even if they couldn't escape it and they tried though and they got pinned down again and then Luke comes and save them. Okay. But I at least wanted to see how they, because I am sure that they could have come up with some way to take down at least one of those. I mean, we have what, three veterans of the wars, and then
Well, unfortunately, they didn't, and we have our Luke Skywalker scene for the next scene, which is
yeah.
our big reveal as he pulls back his hood, and you see the deep fake Luke Skywalker. Now, when I first saw this, me and Kyle, he contacted me. We were texting about it, and we had a pretty big argument about it. I was displeased with what I saw.
Mhm.
I don't think Kyle was exactly as pleased, but definitely was more he was more compassionate about the process. And that's what I got from
I
him.
thought it was fine.
Uh,
I thought it was
you
fine.
thought it was fun.
Mhm.
When I saw it the second time, it looked better, and maybe it's because I was expecting it this time, so maybe I was able to brush it
Mhm.
off more. The scene wasn't broken because of it. I wouldn't say that, but I will say it kind of pulled me out of it. And when I saw that video. You sent me a video of somebody else basically doing a deep fake. I don't know if they did a deep fake over the deep fake or how they did it, but they
Yeah.
basically did another step. and
Double
it
deep.
looked better. Yeah, I don't know. It looked better, but, like I said, when I saw it this time, I didn't notice it as badly, and I feel like it was done better, so I'm wondering if there was some touch-up done, I don't know, because 'cause there's been a little bit of complaining, but I think at the same time, the majority of people are thinking like you, and even me in a sense, where just seeing Luke again was good. It was better than seeing Princess Leia in Rogue One. It was
Oh
better
yeah.
seeing Tarkin in Rogue One.
Oh
But
yeah.
it still wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but I don't think it ruined the scene because we got to go. We'll leave on that real quick. Do you have anything to say, Tomas, before we move on? Because I don't think we could talk about the deep fake thing all night if we want.
I'm in agreement with you. When I first saw it, I was immediately kind of like, "Eh," and then as he kinda kept talking and stuff, I was like, "Well, it's definitely better than Leia. It's a lot better than Tarkin." So,
Yeah.
okay, I can get
It was
behind this.
done
It's not that
differently.
bad.
Uh, I thought it was fine.
Yeah, it's a very touching scene, I really liked it, you have Mando taking off his helmet, and this is where I wanna talk about him just for a second, this is where Pedro Pascal I just saw 1984 Wonder Woman, Pedro Pascal is one of the villains, and I have lots of problems with that movie, and I really wanna talk to you guys about it, but I'm gonna leave it later, but Pedro Pascal in that movie, he is an amazing actor, oh my, I was blown away. The movie itself had lots of problems, but him in it was amazing.
Mhm.
Seeing him here, just seeing the different layers and levels he has as an actor, it blew my mind. I loved the way he treated the doll essentially as a living
Yeah.
creature and thing that he loved, and you could really feel that through his
The
face. Uh, Luke
the
was
doll.
fine. Yeah, Luke was fine. But I feel like he was the highlight for me, just his reaction and everything else, I just loved it. I don't know about you, you guys can.
Yeah. If me personally, I feel like if there are 2 actors or actresses either that deserve special recognition to me from this season alone, it's the Moff and Pedro.
Bill
I
Burr.
thought that Bill Burr did a fine job,
Wow.
but I thought they did a fine job, but I felt that in terms of the facial expressions, the way they use their voice, the way their voice fluctuates, the way that they express themselves as they're saying things, it I saw the emotion in them, both of them really sold me on what they were trying to express, and I really believed I really believed the emotions that I was seeing. Bill Burr did a fine job and everything, and his scene with the Mandalorian is also an emotional one, and it's a good one, but it didn't sell me the way the Moff sold me in this scene, and it didn't make me wanna cry the way I wanted to cry with how the Mando is watching Yoda go, and Yoda's just watching him over his shoulder.
Yeah. No, yeah, I
So,
would agree that Moff Gideon and Mandalorian are the MVPs of the season, but that means that Bill Burr is most improved of the season because his character the first season was annoying, and then
yeah,
this season was great. So
It was like, "Oh, it's the comedian." That's
I'll definitely give you that. From the first season to this season, his character went
yeah,
miles better in interest,
I
but
agree. It's a good ending, to it,
it was.
I had nothing wrong with the ending, I felt it was fine, I feel like this episode could have done a little bit more maybe, but like I said earlier, the episode was
Yes.
just pushing, pushing, pushing so much.
Yeah.
What else could you fit in there? Like, what
I
else could you
mean,
fit in there?
I think I
yeah.
agree with you that they could have split it into 2 and added a couple more
Yeah,
things to each, and
that
it
would have
would have
been good.
been a little
Yeah.
bit better. But,
Yeah, in what you were saying, Kyle, I feel like you could have added a little more to before the assault on the
mhm.
ship.
Mhm.
and then done the assault on the ship. So you could have had 2
Well, we,
episodes,
we got a
you
lot of
know.
coulda, shoulda, woulda, and we know they take our reviews and considerations to heart as we review these
They
episodes.
do, yeah.
So so I don't know who would like to go first. Well, you know what? This time I'll go first. I keep making you guys go first each time. So this time I'm going to go first with my review and my final statements on this episode. I like this episode a lot. I felt it was well done. Is it as good as the previous? No. Is it as good as the premiere? No. Uh, I would probably give it. I'm floating between two numbers, a 7 or 8 are my two. I
You have
want
to
to
pick
either give
one.
it a high 7 or a low
No,
8, but I'm
you
going to
have
go
to
with
pick
an
one.
8. I'm going with an 8. I'm going with an 8. I know you
Oh,
took away my decimals,
okay.
so I'll leave
Yeah,
it at
none
an
of that.
8.
I hate that. It's like,
So
who
we got an
cares
8.
about the decimals? Just
Uh,
pick a number.
I do. It lets me give you a little extra, a little less. But anyway, I give it a solid 8. It's good. If I could give it a low 8, I would, but it's still an 8, and it was good. I don't think I had anything extremely bad. It's watching a second time helped a ton. That's all I gotta say. Watching a second time helped a ton.
If it's a low 8, then make it a 7. That's how it works.
I'm putting low 8 in my review. Kyle, you go.
I couldn't have said it any better than Alan did. I thought it was a fun episode, a little bit jam-packed to the gills, and I also gave it an 8.
All right, 8.
I think that we are pretty much all in accord for once, because I would give it an 8. I don't think it was the best. It was definitely better than the previous, in my opinion,
Did
because
you give
it
it 8
helped
to the
wrap some
previous?
things up. But
No,
the last one I had
I
a
think,
lower
yeah,
than
it
an
was
8.
like a
Yeah.
7.
But no, I feel like this one was a little bit better than the previous. It kind of answered some questions. It left some things open. I am really disappointed because I kind of want a story to follow Yoda and I want a story to follow Mando. I wanted to keep them together.
Mm.
And
Oh, look at you. You're a little sap. You're a sap
yeah,
for Yoda.
I'm a sap for Grogu. So yeah, but I would have to give it an 8.
Yeah, so I left out that it is kind of cool. We got to see full circle. Yoda taught Luke. Now Luke's going to teach Baby Grogu. So it's like he's the same being taught by than teaching now. Yeah, but the 8, not enough Mayfield, right? Not enough Mayfield. Not enough
Yeah.
Mayfield.
That's what
Who
it
was
is.
Spielberg's character
We
in the last
needed to
episode.
bring him back.
But anyways, I think we said our piece on this one. I wanted to end with another segment, but we're losing time. So I just want to do one last thing. It's the end of the year. We all watch this. I know it's late, but we got another year coming on. We got a year apparently going to be jam packed with Star Wars again. What is one thing you're looking forward to next year, or want there to be next year with Star Wars? Like what something they add? Maybe somebody comes out. Something. We'll start with Tomas. You seem to have a lot. What is one thing you want to see from Star Wars in 2021?
Start with Kyle because I'm old.
Okay,
All right, Kyle. One thing you want to see from Star
switch it
Wars.
over to me. I thought we were gonna rate the season as a whole, but,
Well, you
I
can
was
throw that
mad
on
that
if
they
you'd
didn't
like.
I was mad that they didn't wrap up the whole Darksaber thing, which means that they're just gonna put it in the next show, and although I'll just say it, there was at the end credits of The Mandalorian, probably the next show that we're gonna get, as my guess, because they're promoting it so within the show within the show. That's probably what we're gonna get, but I don't know if I want Boba Fett. What I want is Obi-Wan. I've been wanting that for a while. There's talks of bringing Hayden Christensen back. I don't know how that's all gonna work, but as much hate as Hayden gets, I like the guy. I think it would be really cool to see those two again in a show. I think that would be awesome. So that's what I want. Obi-Wan.
As a solid answer, I have nothing against Hayden Christensen. I think he could have used more direction in the prequels. I don't think he's a bad actor. I think there's other problems going on.
Eh,
Uh,
he's not the
and I'm
best. I've
He
seen
might
him
not be
in
the
other
best, but I'm
movies,
thinking.
so
Oh, okay. I think I've only seen one of the
He
things. But
wasn't. He wasn't. As, I feel like he wasn't as bad as what he was written off.
yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to that. We did not talk about the Boba Fett thing. I don't really feel like it's part of the episode because it's really just a trailer for the next show.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's what I was trying to say. There you go, trailer.
yeah, it's like yeah, it was just a trailer, and even one of my very good friends who listens to this show, uh, even he wasn't excited when that happened, and he's a huge Boba Fett fan. He
Hmm,
was like how we're thinking, like, eh, like, is that what we need? Do we need that? I mean, what's going on here?
yeah,
So, um,
yeah.
I think if I'm gonna push for next year, I'll do mine. So Tomas has a little more time to think. Uh, I would like to see them focus more, and I would like to see because they already focused on those 2 seasons, and I feel like that made this seasons well. I will say, if we were giving some sort of rating, I do think the first season was probably more impactful than this season. We didn't talk about this too much, but this season really felt like a homage to the Clone Wars and Rebels, and I think that leaves people out who didn't watch those things. So I was kind of glad that Luke was the end for the simple fact that it's somebody that everybody can relate to. It isn't a Ezra that nobody knows about unless you watch Rebels. It isn't a Ahsoka, which you don't if you didn't watch. If they watch only the movies, you wouldn't know who she is. It
Kanan.
was somebody that we all can relate with. Say that again.
Kanan.
Kanan. Yeah, it isn't Kanan.
Can
Jarvis?
what? What
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
See,
but
you
that's
guys
what
don't
I'm
even know
saying.
what I'm talking about.
Kanan is
Have you watched the
Ezra's
show?
master. Kanan
I
is his
know.
master. I know who Kanan is. Okay, all right,
It
get out of here with that. Anyways, I
but,
just
like,
wanted to focus more, and I don't really like that we're spreading it because one of the big things we argued about with the deepfake thing is you brought up that maybe they were running out of money, and if they're spreading all their money to all these other Star Wars shows, is that going to be a constant problem? So I didn't want them to focus.
I never said that they were running out of money. I said that there's a
Okay.
limit. There's a
Oh, well,
budget to the
I
show.
think that's what I meant. The budget, the show itself was running out of money, as in they're running out of the budget they were given. That makes sense.
Yeah, you
Uh,
can't. I mean, yeah. So don't misquote me.
so if that's the if that's the case, though, then having more Star Wars shows, uh, I feel like is a bad idea if we're going to have that problem come up again. So I guess my hope for is, like I said, focus. Let's not do 5 shows in one year. I hope this plan is for years from now. I hope next year we get like Mandalorian season 3 and maybe Book of Boba Fett, whatever the heck that's going to be, because they've already said that's coming out next year, and that's about it. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for some more focus and don't go crazy just because Mandalorian was a success, which
I,
they already seem like they
yeah,
are.
I agree. I agree
Uh,
with you that they should just focus one thing at a time. If they want to do all those things, sure, but just take your time with it. Let's not spread yourself too thin.
anyways, Tomas, what would you like to see from Star Wars?
What I'm excited for is for the Ashoka series. I really like Ashoka Tano. I really liked seeing Rosario Dawson play Ahsoka Tano. I thought she did a good job. Um, and I'm a little excited for the Book of Boba. I liked Boba in this. I thought his addition was fun, and I would like to see more. I enjoy Boba, so I wouldn't mind seeing some more Boba.
I don't mind seeing more of him. I just don't think it deserves his own show. That's all I care about.
Yeah, Alan.
But
Remember,
anyways,
Alan's the boba hater.
I do hate myself some Boba Fett, but it is late. We are all tired. We
Yeah,
got up to do this.
Yeah.
We had so many problems. So I hope this makes it out, and I hope everybody had the best end of the year they could, and maybe watch do do the go look up A New Hope uh, at the New Year. There's a way to time it, and I've done it before. You can time New Hope to where you start it to when the Death Star explodes. the new year begins. And that is a fun way to start the new
Wow.
year. So so I highly recommend it.
Watching millions die and the galaxy just cheered.
Right? Way to bring it full circle. I love it, man. That's great.
Have yourself a good, happy 2020, and I hope when you watch this, I think it'll be 2021. So hope 2021 is a good year, and hope we
Mhm.
get more episodes out. I love doing this, and that's one very positive thing that came out of 2020 is starting this podcast with you gentlemen.
Agreed. Happy New Year.
Anything you like?
Yes,
So
agreed.
happy New Year, everybody. Oh yeah, don't forget Discord. We do have a Discord. If you want to get on it, email me at nerdbackstory@gmail.com. Our Twitter is at nerd_BS. My Twitter is at scadmatrix. And if you contact me anywhere, any of those places, I can invite you to the Discord where we can talk more of this nerdy stuff. Goodbye.